On tonight's program, we'll discuss Anthony Davis' contract extension with the Los Angeles Lakers and what that means for his future and what does that mean, can he bring another title to the Lakers organization. Plus, the Pac-12 is on its deathbed with Washington State, Stanford, Cal, and Oregon State left in the dust. What does the future hold for the conference, especially in the basketball sector? What happens with all these schools, and what can they do to kind of get an identity back? Plus, we'll discuss that much more around the sports, around the world in basketball, here on Fast Break live on IU Sports Radio. You're direct for all your sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to get into. I know we're kind of running late because audio issues. The VB Cape audio wasn't working. So we had a little technical issue there. So kind of going old school with it. Only here for tonight. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's kind of been I guess, a little dry when it comes to NBA. We have a little bit of news that we'll talk about also. Winning time for that watch it is starting the season 2 tonight later on. So a few things that we could tap into.
Yeah, a lot of things we could tap into tonight. I want to shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat tonight. How y'all doing tonight? Get in, comment, tell us how y'all doing. I know this morning, D-Lock, I don't know if you saw this or not on the interwebs. You know, the Montgomery Riverboat beatdown that happened last night. I don't know if that's been like the talk of the day.
Yeah.
And everything else kind of feels secondary today. But what is a secondary? If you're not from the South and you're not around Birmingham, Montgomery, all that type of stuff, your big news out in LA is Anthony Davis's big-time contract extension with the Los Angeles Lakers that will keep him with LA for the next 3 years. There's a 3-year contract extension. Come on. Where's that? 3-year contract extension worth $186 million max. You know, tie him through the franchise through 2028 for a total of $270 million plus. This is all going to the press release by Rich Paul. Davis lands the richest annual contract extension in NBA history at $62 million. D-Lock, I pose this question to you. What did this contract extension mean for Anthony Davis and for the Lakers?
Well, the biggest thing is now they have him locked up for the next few years. We know that LeBron is going to be soon leaving LA, possibly with him wanting to play with his son if that's possible. Don't know how the Lakers approach that part, but they want to secure Anthony Davis, which was a very wise choice of theirs. Now we know we're talking about a player that when he's healthy is one of the best players in the league. But the problem is, him staying healthy. And I think that could be one thing that kind of like hurt how long they could have given him his contract. Um, but I think that it helps knowing that they both come to an agreement that, Anthony Davis is going to be the guy that they build around. LeBron is going to be gone soon. And hell, even if he was to stay, I think we're going to see him at some point, not be the same player that we've known and loved to see. And this is going to be, continue to be Anthony Davis' show. So for me, I think that this is just them kind of knowing that they're going to build around Anthony Davis. And now, having him in the core that they have, I expect the Lakers to be on the move for another star at some point. To pair with Anthony Davis once LeBron is gone. I think both of them is that security somewhat. Got the max, for Anthony Davis. But obviously, the biggest thing that we want to see from him is for him to stay healthy. And if he can stay healthy, I think he'll be worth every penny. If he stay healthy, I think he's a top 5 player every year. If he's healthy, I think he's always in the running for Defensive Player of the Year and NBA MVP. So I think that it was a hell of a move to lock up a player of that caliber for them. And now, they just have to continue to press forward and prepare for when LeBron is going to be leaving. And like I said, I think there's many names that comes around that could be possible trade bait or trade options. But I definitely think that making this move was something that was going to happen, and it was bound to happen. And to get it done now, that definitely helps out the Lakers. And now they can kind of press forward and move on to other important things.
Yeah, I think getting this out the way, kind of like okay, Anthony, is our guy. I know we still got LeBron, but I think Anthony is our guy, and and hopefully, like you mentioned, like if he can stay healthy, can at least bring us another title. I mean, it's gonna be a tall task because you got Jokic in his prime, in Denver. You got the young Bucks in OKC, which they're little ways away, but you never know. If Zion can put his issues behind him, then New Orleans could be a threat. Same thing in Memphis with John Morant. But if you kind of look at that down low position, like Jokic is like the only real credible threat. Now, some of y'all was saying, listening and saying, what about Karl Anthony Towns and all that stuff? Cat been in the league how long? Like at least what, 8-9 years?
Somewhere around that, I believe. Yep.
And only been in the playoffs, I think we were once or twice in his career. And I think twice was this past season. So, a guy like that, how skilled he is, really ain't put Minnesota over the hump like that. And he don't scare me as a person that can stop me from winning a championship. I'm sorry. And other than that, besides Jokic, D-Lock, like the down threats, DeAndre Ayton down Phoenix, but it's just like waiting time to see when he gets traded. And then you got Victor Wembanyama down in San Antonio, but we're kind of a little few years away from that. But if he can stay healthy, everybody coming back into the fold, basically for the Lakers, like Jamar, Reeves, you signed Gabe Vincent, Vanderbilt. You kind of got your little core right there. So, whatever happens with Bronny this season at USC, if he plays or not, kind of factor a lot into LeBron's plans. And if he goes, you still got a good base with Davis, Reeves, and Rui Hachimura there. So I like it. You got him locked down. And then also, you mentioned about the money and stuff like that, about the potential star player down the road. There's potential names down the road that could become available. We kind of talked in the past on here, D, like, Trey Young, clutch client, Atlanta have just had a little bit talks about trading him. He's a free agent down the line. So, this is him as an example. So, this you kind of give yourself space, like you mentioned, like LeBron. How long is he really going to be playing? And once that money clears off, you got the extra space for that max player. And could a Trae Young be available? Luka Doncic. I know he injured his knee, playing for Slovenia, and hopefully he gets better. But, the situation in Dallas has always kind of been kind of up and down with him and management. And Mark Cuban,
Right.
and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but Mark Cuban really hasn't, mend that fence right there to keep his star player happy, to the point that this dude's kind of got wandering eyes and he may leave where that contract is up. So if you're the Lakers, if you keep this dude healthy, show you're in contention, those two names I just brought up, along those other role players, they can stay there too. I think good things could be down the pipe down for the Lakers. Time will tell. We're talking about years away. Things can change in a heartbeat, especially in the NBA. But if they can keep if they can keep things going, Darvin Ham kind of continue grows as a head coach, I think, LA could do something there. But let me ask you this. With this contract extension for Anthony Davis, is the expectation for him to help bring another title to the Lakers?
I definitely think that's the case. I think that he's the one that they're gonna. Like I said, I think he's gonna be one that they're gonna kind of build around. And for me, I just think that this is going to be your piece. We know the Lakers to have a superstar throughout, their their franchise history. And like I said, it's talking about even winning time. This started with them drafting Magic Johnson and already having Kareem there. So I think that this Lakers team is you have the few pieces that you have now. LeBron is going to be LeBron, but we've seen what happened this past season when Anthony Davis either is not playing or he's not playing well. When that's happening, we see that the Lakers look very, very different. So for me, I think that the expectations, being in LA, which I know he has to understand, is to win a championship and continue to win more. You're not at the Orlando Magic or the Washington Wizards or the New Orleans Pelicans where you win a championship and it's like, okay, we've done something that hasn't been done in this franchise. So the Lakers are expecting to continue to be competitive for a championship. So for me, I think that, he should know that, kind of like we hear about a lot of Cowboys fans. What happens every year to them NFL season start? Cowboys fans always say they're going to the Super Bowl. Every year.
Could happen this year. I gotta admit.
Oh yeah. They could have, but it's just the. You see where I'm going with the expectations?
Yep.
The expectations are always high. It's the same thing with the damn Yankees. These are the teams in college football. Alabama, it's the same thing. So the Lakers are in that category. So when you do sign with this team, understand what comes with that role. So for me, I think that signing Anthony Davis to that contract, I think they don't want to win just one, but they want to win multiple championships. They believe that last year they had the team. They added a few pieces, adding some more defense and Torian Prince and Cam Reddish. Like these are some valuable pieces that they needed, and I think should definitely make that move for him. So signing Anthony Davis to that max deal, they damn right expecting to win championships with him.
Yeah, I think the expectation to at least bring in one more championship. When LeBron first signed with the Lakers, in my old podcast, The Quick Process, the archive episodes, I said, LeBron's got to at least bring one championship to the Lakers. Given his age and stuff like that at the time he came in, if he can give me at least one championship to the Lakers, I'm cool. With LeBron, I'm cool. As long as you bring me one championship to this team, I'm cool. You did your job. And they helped deliver that, along with Anthony Davis in the 2020 bubble. And I think with this extension, I got to get one more out of you. Can you bring me one more? Can you get in a playoff run? Can you build continuous games back to back to back? You can't have a 35-12 game against the damn Warriors and then come out next game, have 14-9. You can't do that type of stuff. So one more title. I think that's fair for Lakers fans to expect at least one more title. And then after that, probably get your jersey retired and have a statue, down the line when you retire. It's going on Kobe, Kareem, Shaq, Jerry, and all the rest of the guys. But I think the key thing you brought up is health. I'll say this: the expectation for him, if you could at least play at least 70 games per season, and I ask for all 82, at least 70 games per season. I think I'll be cool. I'll be satisfied. You playing most of the season, and then also if you're playing 70 games, it help out with your finances because all the new rules, the new CBA, all that too. To go along with that, if you do that, if Anthony Davis does that, I think it'll go a long way for the Lakers.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that this was one of those moves that had to be made. Locking up Anthony Davis. Obviously the biggest thing was the years, how long they wanted the contract to be. They came to that agreement, but that was something that was very important. And now, like I said, you have that done. Now you kind of can move on and now focus on, adding other pieces around them, which, like I said, I think is going to be very, very important. But they have to, like I said, they have to know that now they have, the guy they're going to build around. Now it's their job to, set it up, and I think they will. But they definitely had to get this done because the longer you wait, now more money you possibly have to spend, and the less options you have.
Yeah, the longer you wait, yeah. And then also think about that too. Longer you wait, do you get one to rise and maybe trade him or something like that? Who knows? I don't know. But like I said, to wrap this up, smart for them to do this. Smart for him. He likes being out in LA. He has said that multiple times. He loved to move to LA mainly for his children's education. That was the main thing. The reason why he got out of New Orleans was the education. So, I think he likes being out there. They like him. Of course, they like him, and I think things will go well for everybody involved. Real quick, D-Lot, Mr. Terry Rodriguez got a question for you. Um, what about the midseason tournament? He says, do you think that will take a little toll on LeBron?
The mid-season tournament?
Yeah.
To be honest, man, I'm not sure if LeBron participates too much in that mid-season tournament, man. I think he does play, but it can take a toll on him, definitely. But if they know that, how much do you put into him playing in that mid-season tournament? It just, how much is it worth? So for me, I think that LeBron does not play as much in that, depending on where they are in the season as well, how the Lakers are looking. But you grab a lot of these guys. I'm expecting LeBron's minutes to go down throughout the whole season anyway. You're grabbing a lot more forwards, and I expect, like I said, for the Lakers to give him that rest moving forward, knowing what is all at stake. But the league bringing in the mid-season tournament is not going to change the goal that the Lakers and LeBron James has. And that's to win the season with a championship. So I don't think that that's something that he'll be willing to sacrifice for a mid-season tournament. So I don't think it take a toll on him. I actually think that they use that to plan around getting him that rest. So we'll see a lot of that, play one game and be out the next game. And I think it'll definitely make an impact. But they want to go into they want to go into regular. They want to go into the playoffs healthy. And with LeBron playing how he played last year, you kind of want to minimize those minutes a little bit, because the playoffs is going to be very, very important. We see what happened when either him or Anthony Davis are down on minutes during the playoffs. If that happens, it's over for the Lakers. So I think they're going to keep that at the top of the list and probably push the mid-season tournament to the side.
Yeah, I think it depends. I know the NBA is trying to generate interest, but it's just I don't know, man. It's just I know they're playing for extra money and stuff like that, but it's yeah, you win the money, but it'll get taxed to death. So what fun is that? So, like I suggested before, I think whoever comes out in that turn to win this tournament should get automatic bid into the draft lottery. So even if they don't have, even if they trade away their first round pick or whatever reason or something like that, just you can figure something out to sneak that team into the draft lottery. So if they we talking about the Lakers, I know they traded a lot of draft picks away for Anthony Davis and all that stuff. Somehow you just figure it out. And I think also you figure. I mean, it's just like you said, D-Lock, some extra. I mean, you're doing this for some extra change for LeBron. So, I mean, granted, you probably do more for the younger guys, get some more pocket money like that. Because, guys like Joe gets LeBron, AD, Russ, you know, Dame, Jimmy Butler, they probably ain't really hurting like that. But, Scottie Pippen Jr., I can't say he really hurting because his daddy, but, you get my point. Maybe you do it for those type of guys. But, you know, it depends. I'll say this, Terry. It depends. If the Lakers are kind of out of it early in the tournament, then they shut down LeBron and AD probably, and just ride out the young guys to play until they get back to the regular season schedule. But if they're in contention to win the thing, then you probably see them play through. But it depends how it goes, in their brackets. And another question.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, exactly. I think that either way, I don't think the Lakers give up a lot. I don't think that they are willing to do a lot for that tournament and sacrifice health and playing time. Let me see the tournament and hurt them during the playoff season.
And got another question in the chat. Mike Pat, how you doing tonight, sir? He said, "Good evening, guys. Saw a poll on Twitter asking Wizards fans if they think the team will win more than 30 games this season. What are your thoughts on that? Because the Wizards, they reshaped their whole roster. I think the main addition is Jordan Poole for the Warriors for Chris Paul. They re-signed Kuz. They I forgot the drafted kid from France. I can't remember his name at the moment. It'll come to me here in a bit. But had a very good solid draft. Got some young guys you drafted who really still hadn't developed yet. Granted, I hated how they traded Monty Morris away to Detroit. I thought that was Kubli. Yes, Mike, Pat. Thank you, Kubli from France. Swingman forward, who I've been kind of real high on. I hate they traded away Monty Morris. I thought he'd be a good depth piece for that team. What you think? Do the Wizards, with the way the East is constructed, and we talked about those bottom teams before, could they win more than 30 games for the next upcoming season?
Honestly, I think they can. 30 games is pretty low, man. I mean, it's pretty low. And one reason why I definitely think that, number one reason is because they're in the East. And, you talk about the Orlando Magic, who looks like a team that can be pretty good, but have some time to get there. We don't know what Philly is going to be, but we'll see what happens with James Harden. Cleveland is supposed to make that step, but we'll see what happens with that. Chicago, Charlotte, these are the teams that have been playing very inconsistent. Brooklyn, a totally different team than they were last year, totally different look. So I think that is very much possible. The East right now, it just has for me, the top 2, 3, or 4 teams, and then it's just a complete drop off. If they can kind of get rolling with the guy they have, they'll be fine. Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole are known scorers. So I think that we're looking at a team that may be a fast-paced type offense, fast, high-scoring type game. So if you do prop bets or FanDuel or DraftKings, stacking this team in their game is probably going to be the best option. Because, like I said, I'm looking at a team that looks like they're going to be going super fast pace, with the Kyle Kuzma, Chris Kisper, who obviously is a 3-point shooter with Denny. But I definitely see this team winning more than 30 games. Not above 500, not sure yet. But I definitely see them being competitive, stealing a few games because although they, have basically a totally different roster, for me, losing to Bradley Beal is going to play big piece. But I mean, Jordan Poole is definitely a good player to have with the Ty Jones. I think that's a pretty decent backcourt, if you ask me. And Kyle Kuzma as well. I think what's unsaid, has a very young team. The only inconsistency I see them having a problem with is the center position with Gafford and Muscala, and the rookie that they drafted. I don't want to butcher his name, but I feel like this team is capable of getting above 30 games. They can now. They do that. They could possibly be in the running for a tournament play. Get a play-in option. And on top of that, now we're looking at this mid-season tournament. That's going to definitely play a part in if teams tank or not, because these lottery options is gonna affect a lot of things. So for me, I definitely see them being above 30 games. I mean, you got the few guys there that can be consistent and shoot, especially in this league that we're in, where hell, Steph Curry started it by shooting 3-point shots from half court. Now you have to be able to shoot from damn near anywhere across the court, on the court, and they got the shooters that could do that right now. Now they're not going to be top 2, top 3 in the West. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to beat Milwaukee and nothing like that. Hell no. But winning 30 games, I definitely think is possible. Winning 30 plus games also is possible.
Yeah, I'm looking at the roster right now. I had to pull it up real quick. Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, Tyus Jones, Daniel Gafford, Landry Shamet, Delon Wright, Denaro Gallinari, Kublier, Denny Avaja, Donnie Davis, Corey Crisper, Mike Muscula, Patrick Baldwin. That's a person. If you're a Wizards fan, keep on Patrick Baldwin. If he gets consistent playing time, and you're talking about a former dude just 2 years ago was like a top 5 high school basketball recruit who went to play for his daddy in college at University of Wisconsin. Keep an eye on him, because if he can put it together, and you talk about a guy that's 6'9", 6'10", who could shoot the hell out of the ball. That's a guy that if he could put it together, that could be a real scoring threat for y'all and a good rotation of piece. Star player, who knows? But that's a name you got to keep an eye on. If some of the other young guys kind of flounder, and Anthony Gill also on this roster. When I look at these guys, they're good for 30 wins. With the backcourt of Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole, Kuzma on the wing, Gafford down low, and then at that 4 spot, I think they probably go, with Denny at that 4 spot to see how it goes, or maybe Gallinari if he's healthy. But if you look, especially in their division, Charlotte's on a rebuild, and I don't trust Steve Clifford as coach to kind of bring those guys up and coach them up well like they should. Because we saw how things went in summer league with some of the young guys. Like, ugh, this is like the coach. I mean, the players, some of them, ugh, but the coaching too don't help as well. So Charlotte, I think one thing about this, Washington's head is Charlotte. Look at what else around the East. Detroit got a new coach, got a lot of young pieces. One thing for them, if Cade Cunningham can stay healthy, maybe they could do some things, but that's not happened the past couple of years he's been in the league. So until that happens, that stuff, and some of the other young guys don't take against that, I think the Wizards are better than Pistons right now as constructed. The Raptors, they seem like they kind of in a rebuild. Fred VanVleet's no longer there. Pascal Siakam, OG, on Bonnier is on the trade block. Seem like time will tell when and if they get traded. It's more a matter of when. And I'm not saying they could bounce back, but the only way that I can see them bouncing back and being better Wizards if Scotty Barnes take the next step and Siakam, if they don't trade Siakam and OG, and Grady Dick can come in and be a top contributor for them, I think they'll go a long way. But as of right now, new coach, all that stuff, I got the Wizards ahead of them by a slim margin.
Yeah, and that's my thing. I feel like, the Wizards may be one of those teams where, we don't expect too much and blah, blah, blah. And they mess around and steal a few games. And it's not because of a team is just sleeping on it, but it's also because of some of the talent that they have. They got some pretty decent guys on this roster. So, like I said, I would definitely see this team, being above 30 wins. And if so, look out for them to at least, be in, I guess, in a play-in tournament possibility. But it's just the East is the East, man. I mean, they're gonna get better, and we always see these teams on the East make these trades and make these additions, and we expect for them to make this big jump, and it never happens. I mean, we talk about my team, the Orlando Magic. We've seen them draft Jalen Suggs. We've seen them draft Mo Bamba. We've seen them with Aaron Gordon. We continue to say, well, this team is going to be better. This team is going to be better. This team is going to be better. And nothing really changes. So, again, I think that, Washington may be one of those teams that's pretty much slept on, but could sneak around getting 30-plus games.
So, yeah, to answer your question, Mike, I think we both in agreement. I think they could get 30 wins next year. I think the scoring, especially by Jordan Poole, and plus, for Jordan Poole, you're in a new place on the other side of the coast, playing for a new team, and you're away from the toxic situation that your previous team kind of really brushed under the rug, and kind of rewarded the aggressor, Draymond, and kept him around. So I think Jordan Poole being a new place, I know the Honeys are in California are different from DC, but as you and I know, D-Lock, DC got some baddies as in their own right. So hopefully Jordan Poole can, see that, focus.
Stay focused.
And do he got to do to kind of rebuild his reputation, because a lot of things have been coming out against him, which if it's like basketball critique, that is fine to a degree, But he should be the only one to be held accountable why Golden State struggled last year. Let's be real about that. But we'll talk about Golden State here down the line. But if, like I said, full come in focus, I think another thing for the Wizards, Mike, the point guard situation, they can keep that stabilized or something like that. I think that will go a long way for them to be surprise contenders come next season. So, and then I think, like you, D-Lock mentioned about the coach, Wes Unseld, find some continuity with this group. I mean, I know Jordan Poole will come in taking jacking a lot of shots, but you gotta find a way to get that, be efficient with it. Same thing with Kuzma. He could be a little trigger happy as well. So those things you gotta, figure it out as a coach and all that stuff. But I think both of us are in the same agreement. Wizards can at least get 30 wins. So that's a given. D-Lock, I want to switch gears real quick. And as some of y'all know, the Pac-12 they're on their deathbed. The conference is barely holding up. It seems like this past week, everybody else besides UCLA, USC, they're committed to the Big Ten, and they get up things rolling with that conference next season. Now we come and find out this past week, Colorado, when all this big expansion stuff happened a few years ago, them along with Nebraska, Mizzou, Texas A&M, that Big 12 split, when they had the disagreement in Texas, you had Nebraska go to the Big 10, Colorado to the Pac-12, Texas A&M, Mizzou went to the SEC, and that's when the ball got rolling, all that stuff. And here today, the Pac-12 is just down to 4 members right now after 2024, 2025, all that stuff. With Oregon State, Cal, Stanford, and Washington State just out butt naked open, while everybody else is in the house eating, drinking hot cocoa. D-Lock, from a basketball perspective, and then also as you as a former college athlete, what can the Pac-12 do to kind of regain its name, regain its, I don't say glory, but kind of regain its reputation? I know the TV deal, I know they talked to Apple, that didn't really go, I mean, it kind of went somewhere, but it didn't go enough to save the league. What do you think the Pac-12 should do as a conference?
Well, they're gonna have to start getting some other teams involved. It seems like what was there, about 5 schools announced that they're leaving the Pac-12, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So they're pretty thin. Now there are other teams that are trying to leave their respective conferences. You have a lot of teams that are trying to go somewhere else or trying to be a different different conference, and it just seems as if Pac-12 may be out, but you have a lot of teams like Florida State who was talking about coming to the SEC. Side note, I know I went that with you, but listen, don't take your ass to the SEC. Don't go over there trying to play. You're a massive man playing Florida. You already got Florida. Then you're gonna have to play Georgia. Then you're probably gonna have to play LSU. Then you got Tennessee. Then you got to decide whether you're gonna have Texas or Oklahoma.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, you don't, as they say, you don't want that smoke. That's not what you want. Stick it. Go somewhere else. Go to, like I said, we talk about Pac-12. You might want to go over there or somewhere, but don't go over there where they got crazy stuff going on right now. Because just looking at them schedules for next year, just look insane. There's no days off in that conference. So, but again, you got teams that are trying to, that are leaving their conferences. And I think this realignment is going to continue happening. So you may have teams like a Clemson, like a Florida State, a few other schools that can possibly get into the Pac-12 as their best option. Because right now it's pretty much looking like they're gonna be gone. I mean, looking at what Arizona State, Arizona, Utah leaving, also Colorado. It doesn't look good, but right now that is going to be it's going to be very crazy, especially basketball wise as well, because what we're seeing on Fox Sports what we've seen for years is Fox Sports cover Pac-12 most.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But their best option is to send out, some of those invites, because you have, like I said, you got the teams like Clemson and Florida State and all these other schools who are possibly leaving. I believe I was hearing that Miami was on the brink of trying to leave the ACC in a few years as well. So this realigning is something that is going to obviously is moving, but Pac-12 is going to have to start sending out the invites because if not, this could be the end of them. And if so, that's going to suck. But it's just, at this point, the only option is, basketball wise, especially basketball and football, you're going to have to get some of these schools that are looking to, gain money from this as well. They're going to have to try to get into the Pac-12. So they got to start doing their research and start sending these invites.
Let me ask you this question. With the four remaining teams, all that stuff, in the commission of Pac-12, logically, you want to invite, like a Fresno State, a San Diego State, University of Nevada, maybe like New Mexico State, the Lobos, maybe those teams in that nature. But thing is, those teams kind of, they belong to the Mountain West, and the Mountain West seem pretty united. If you're the Pac-12 commission, do you go to the Mountain West commission and say, hey, do you want to merge conferences? Be a part of the Pac-12, because let's be real, the Pac-12 still at least has a name. Mountain West, it took a little while. I mean, people know the name, but it's just like, if you say who's in the Mountain West, off top of your head, you really have to think about it. Pac-12, you at least, it's like the West Coast schools around that coast, those states on the coastline. Do you think those two conferences should merge into one?
That is probably one of the better ideas right now, because, like I said, you're looking at, hell, I mean, you look at the conference, don't really know that many teams in the Mountain West Conference. You literally have to look them up, and the money in the Pac-12 is a hell of a lot more than Mountain West. So I think that'll be a big move for teams like Air Force, Utah State, Fresno, Boise, who just seeing they have a job opening for a coaching job there on track, and they don't know what the salary is going to be for it. So that could definitely play a part because of the conference that they're in. So if you move to a Pac-12 where there is more money, they have these TV deals, as I mentioned, with Pac-12 having one of the best game callers ever. That could be they merged those two. This could be a big boost for these conferences. And on top of that, I believe another reason why this is happening and continuing to happen is because they just approve of the college football playoffs, add more teams.
Yeah.
So when you do that, now these teams are just moving all these different places. Because now instead of it being just 4, it's going to be what I believe 12. Now you're going to have a hell of a lot more playoff opportunities. So now they're not minding. They don't mind going into or merging into different conferences, because not only that, they have chances to make more money in these different conferences. So for me, I think that you have to. If I'm Pac-12 and Mountain West, that is a very good conversation to have, because you're going to need to. Come on, man. Think about what Colorado State would do in Pac-12. That would definitely help out Colorado State, Wyoming. These teams that we have not spoke about that much will get that exposure with Pac-12. So I think that it would be huge if they did that. It'd definitely be a big boost, man, because right now Pac-12 look like it's going down the drain, and you're gonna need to, like I said, either invite other teams or, like I said, like you said, merge them with another conference, and they can kind of move forward with it.
And some of y'all probably listening to this like, why are they talking about football and stuff like that? The football part of the expansion, all this stuff, has kind of changed the landscape of everything, especially in the basketball world. The late great John Thompson said this, on the first round of big expansions, all that stuff started happening. And what happened with the Big East. And the Big East, in the 90s, early 2000s, that Big East of schools like St. John's, Georgetown, Syracuse, West Virginia, South Florida, who else I think about? Louisville, all those schools, all that stuff. And, you get to the conference tournaments, you sit as a fan, you sit down and watch those games, good ass games, all that stuff. To watch the likes of a Ray Allen, Kemba Walker having his great run, Allen Iverson, the upsets, all that stuff. And John Thompson put it as this, football killed the Big East. And now we kind of see that, all these, like you mentioned, all these moves are football related. They're not basketball related. All these are football related moves. And, for football, you playing once a week. And my fear, like for these other kids in these other Olympic sports, like you used to do track. If like you said, Florida State, if that happened during, I'll throw it out there. If they happen to join with the Big Ten or something like that, you got to send those kids. I mean, you got to send those kids up for meets up in Wisconsin. Do you really want to do that? Do you want to send them if they haven't joined with the remains of the Pac-12? Do you want if you're playing basketball, do you want to do a cross country flight all the way out to damn Pullman, Washington to play Washington State? And that's why I hate for these other sports. It's like baseball, softball, volleyball. You know, like how it's going to affect their schedule, how it's going to affect sleep, all that type of stuff. That's the thing I worry about for them in the basketball world, all that stuff. For these guys and gals, how's it going to affect them down the line? You know, and basketball somewhat, as a result of this, is a casualty in all this because you playing at least 2 games a week in college basketball, and all these teams, schools, think about the bigger dollar and all that stuff, and not trying to be left behind. Some schools don't care. From what I read, Arizona State, they really don't care like that about athletics. And it seemed like the people at the University at Arizona kind of had to drag them kicking and screaming. Cal, Stanford, they're more about academics. So, in the short term, they may join up somewhere, but how long do they stay in the athletic game? It's just a lot of, more questions on that stuff that, we got to start asking more. Oregon's going to be good. They got Nike money. Washington, they're going to be good. USC is always going to be good. UCLA, they ain't making money like that, but, they got a name.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what these remaining 14 is going to do. It's going to be real interesting to see. I talked about this on the Crooks process. Especially, if you look at the basketball aspect of it, I'd say this, if I was Greg Sankey, when they announced Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC, I said on that episode, if I was Greg Sankey, I'd go get Kansas.
Mm.
And I'm not saying for the football aspect of it, the basketball aspect of it. If you're going to expand, go for the jugular. Think about, and also, you mentioned about the ACC schools. Florida State trying to lead. Miami maybe trying to lead. Maybe Clemson. If you're like the Big Ten or something like that, or SEC, why not talk to in the basketball aspect? Talk to Duke and Carolina. You ain't bringing in for football, for the basketball aspect. Come in and say, hey, damn it, we're the best football conference. If we bring y'all too long, we could be the best damn basketball conference. You got Kentucky.
Yep.
Alabama, is on the rise, becoming more stable. You got that weasel down in Auburn, Bruce Pearl. Texas, Oklahoma joining. Mizzou with Dennis Gates, pretty solid. So forth and all that stuff. But if you can convince Duke, Carolina to come to your conference, and then you got 3 of the blue bloods in your conference, Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, you eating good right there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the ACC part's going to do. I don't know what they're going to do. But it seems like the last one's going to be standing D-Lock is the SEC, Big Ten, and Big 12. And, what happens with the Pac-12, I don't know. Terry Rodriguez put it out, put San Diego State in the Pac-12. Makes all the sense. Yeah. And they thought about trying to leave the Mountain West, too. So you got that rocky relationship there. So I don't know what the Pac-12 is going to do. It sucks that these West Coast schools, that you need representation out there, and now it's all gone. And you talk about like a few years ago, I don't know if you remember this or not, and that big expansion happened. The commission at that time didn't want to bring in Texas, Oklahoma State, and I think somebody else, Texas Tech or something like that, because of the Longhorn Network. And since that didn't happen, the Pac-12 could have been straight then years ago, but that didn't happen. And now look at the Pac-12 now. And, for my LA people in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also heard that the USC president, I forgot her name, but she put a kibosh into expanding before them and UCLA bounced to the Big Ten. So, y'all let me know on that, because if she did that before they bounced to the Big Ten, that's real effed up on her part to maybe save the conference. Yeah, I think maybe her name's Carol Holt. That's what I saw. That's what I read. That the Pac-12 had maybe a chance to expand before UCLA and USC bounced to the Big Ten. I'm not 100% confirmed on that, but if she put a kibosh on that and then stabbed it in the back and went to the bigger conference, then that's where kind of some of your problems lay right there. Your own people worked against you. So, D-Lock, what do you think should happen with these big Pac-12? Your final words.
Just like I said, I think that it would be a good idea for them to, you could send some invites. You're gonna have some teams out there that is, looking for places to go, trying to go in conferences that are basically full already. Hell, call some of these schools and see what they talking about. See if you can send them an invite and see if that doesn't follow through. They're down to about 4 teams. At this point, joining another conference is probably the best idea, but they're not going to lose their name. So it probably would be best for them to, have another conference join them. Definitely call. I mean, like I said, if you can go grab, one of these ACC teams and a couple other teams, you might have a pretty decent conference and still have that Pac-12 name. But if that doesn't work, I think a conference like Mountain West would be a good option for them to join, or for them to join together.
I'll say this lastly, like Terry Rodriguez put up, San Diego State, if they're having issues with Mountain West, I think that's one team you can get. Also, I'm looking at the Western Athletic Conference. You can maybe, grab Hawaii, talk to them, see what's up. You probably had to go a little bit more east. UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio. Kind of like a program on the rise. San Antonio, untapped market. Get a school with some potential and maybe coaching to bring them in. You gotta really think out the box. And I think Terrence saying, Hawaii's in the Big West and other conferences. Hey, offer him, hey, come to the Pac-12, got a name, all that good stuff, and let's go from there. But if the other schools, if Stanford and Cal, and this is what I just read, if they want to kind of back out of athletics and just focus on academics, then if they do that, then then that's it. I mean, you can put a fork in the Pac-12, and Washington State and Oregon State kind of fall on somewhere else. But if you get Hawaii, if you get San Diego State on board, find some other football schools. Like, I have to look, but you can find some other schools football wise that's kind of half-ass. Maybe you could do something. So, time will tell what's going to happen. The Pac-12. I think the biggest holdup is the TV deal. Oh, Hawaii's in the Mountain West in football, Big West and other sports. It's like same thing. Offer them anyway. It won't hurt.
Exactly.
And if you're Hawaii, I mean, if you're playing football in the Mountain West, I mean, you got to play against Boise State, San Diego State, Air Force, Colorado State. You got to play against Nevada. That's always been a decent program. So if you them, like, if I can go somewhere and maybe dominate with a name, I maybe get things rolling. So who knows? But time will tell. We'll see what's going to happen with the Pac-12. It sucks. As a person, you live out there in Pac-12 country back in the day. It kind of sucks that this conference gone down like this. It really sucks. So we'll see. But this has been our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. I don't know when we'll be on the air next week. If any news pop up, we'll talk about it. But, on the fence on it. We'll let y'all know through the X app or Twitter, where you want to call it. We'll let you know through there. D-Lock, how can people find your social media?
You guys can find me at Black-813. Twitter and Instagram, that's Black, the word -813. Let them know where you can find you at in the show's page.
You can follow the show's page on Twitter /X at FastBreakerIESR. That's FastBreakerIESR. Also, do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. That's Spawn4288. I do another show on the Side 90 Crooks Process. Do follow the show on Instagram and Facebook. The show's on Spotify, so look through it that way. I'll post a new episode here down the line soon. Probably talk about the Tennessee Titans and the season preview, which football is underway, and preseason football for everybody else kind of pick it up Friday and Saturday. So I'll try and get the episodes out as soon as I can. Do follow IE Sports Radio on all your social media feeds: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, Twitter, YouTube. We're everywhere. Do check out iSportsRadio.com for all your latest shows, news, and feeds. There's no show behind us tonight, so y'all got the rest of the evening to yourselves. But until then, we'll talk to y'all next week, possibly. Peace.